Welcome to The Deep Dive. Today we're jumping straight into something I think many of us have felt, that really high tension moment, when this perfect opportunity pops up, a clear step forward, looks great on paper,
Yeah.
but you just freeze. You're completely paralyzed by this fear of, well, what you might lose, or maybe even worse, what old problems you might just repeat.
Oh, absolutely. It's that classic clash, isn't it? The professional side, the external stuff, it all looks fantastic. But then that internal fear just takes over.
Exactly.
And we have a story from a listener, Anna, who's right in the thick of this. She got this job offer, and objectively, it's excellent.
Right. Tell us about it.
Well, significantly better salary, for one. And the new place has a much clearer organizational system, apparently. Plus, a way shorter commute. Big wins.
Okay, so by all objective standards, she should be, thrilled, popping champagne.
You'd think so. But the sources we looked at, they reveal her real hesitation, her sticking point.
Hmm.
It isn't really about the job itself, the workload, or the role.
It's entirely interpersonal and internal.
Okay. The people stuff.
Precisely. Her self-doubt is just, well, it's loud. She's literally asking herself, what if I change companies and just run smack into the same petty interpersonal conflicts that made me miserable before?
Oof. That's rough. And there's a deeper layer, too, isn't there?
Yes, exactly. The really tough question she's grappling with is, maybe. Maybe it doesn't matter where I go. Maybe I can't fundamentally change how I handle conflict.
Wow. Okay, so that anxiety completely shifts it. It's not just a career move anymore. It's like a personal test. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
When life kind of cracks open a door, right, shows you clear benefits on the other side, should you just rush in, like blind courage? Or is there wisdom in pausing, maybe checking the wind's direction, preparing the ship, so to speak?
Well, that's the core tension. And our mission today really is to synthesize the analysis from the source material. It blends some classical wisdom about timing with very specific actionable advice for these kinds of professional transitions.
We need to help you, the listener, understand the difference between just passively stagnating, being stuck, and actively, intelligently preparing for that next step.
Right. Active versus passive. Let's start with where Anna is right now, her current dilemma. The sources use the concept of waiting, don't they? Symbolized by the hexagram.
That's right, waiting. And this concept, it's often really misunderstood. People hear waiting and think, do nothing. But that's not it at all.
So what is it then?
Well, the key phrase associated with this hexagram, this position, is quite evocative. Water bank waits for favorable wind for good profit.
Water bank waits for favorable wind. I like that. It paints a picture, doesn't it? Like a ship.
Exactly.
Fully built, maybe loaded with valuable cargo, ready for a profitable journey. But it's still anchored. It's completely ready, but it's waiting for that perfect moment, the right conditions.
Precisely. The opportunity, the ship, the cargo, Anna's job offer, it's right there. Visible, tangible.
But the wind.
But the wind, which represents those crucial factors for success, you can't always see up front, like the real company culture, the actual management style, the true dynamic within the team she'd be joining.
Right, the unknowns.
Yeah, that wind isn't blowing favorably just yet, or at least it's not predictable. So intelligent waiting means holding your position, staying anchored, until the conditions are optimal, until they maximize or at least significantly increase the chances of profit and success.
Okay, but I have to push back a little here. Doesn't this whole idea of waiting run a serious risk of, well, analysis paralysis?
That's the key question.
Because for a lot of people, myself included sometimes, if you wait too long, especially if an offer has like an expiration date, you miss the boat entirely. Where's the line between smart preparation and just getting stuck overthinking?
That is a absolutely crucial distinction. The sources are clear on this. The waiting described here is active. It's dynamic. If you're paralyzed, you're not preparing, you're just stagnating, frozen. But if you're waiting intelligently, actively, you're actually channeling that anxiety, that nervous energy into concrete, actionable tasks.
Such as?
Well, you update your resume, make sure it's sharp. You sit down and list your absolute bottom line requirements, what you truly need from this next step.
Yeah.
You maybe even prepare some definitive answers for key questions, anticipating the moment that when finally does arrive.
So you shift the focus. Instead of just worrying about the outside world, the unknowns.
Exactly. You focus on perfecting your internal readiness, your own ship, your own sails.
Okay, perfecting that readiness. That makes sense. And it leads us right to the next logical step, right? The moment of action. Once you've moved past the initial anxiety, channeled it into preparation, How do the sources advise actually, making the leap? Is it just prep done, now jump?
Well, not quite so sudden. The preparation naturally leads into the path forward, and that path involves the changing hexagram, which is following, or
Following. Okay. And you said earlier, here's where it gets really interesting.
yes. Because the shift from waiting to following SUI is really the roadmap for strategic movement. Following isn't passive either. It's adaptation in action. It's about moving with the circumstances.
Adaptation in action. I like that.
And the guiding principle here is quite profound. Movement and stillness are based on heavenly logic.
Okay, whoa. Heavenly logic. That sounds incredibly lofty. How on earth do we translate that into navigating, say, tricky office politics or a difficult boss?
Fair question. It sounds grand, but the practical application is actually quite grounded. It means your decisions, your movements, and your stillness need to align with the broader situation.
Broader situation, meaning?
Meaning the optimal timing, that's the heaven part, the actual environment and relationships, the human harmony, that's the earth, and your own sound judgment and capabilities, the man. It's about lining all three, heaven, earth, and man.
Okay, heaven, earth, man, timing, environment, self.
Right. So for Anna, the solution to her deep fear of repeating those interpersonal conflicts isn't trying to somehow guarantee she'll never face conflict again. That's impossible.
Right.
The solution lies in engaging with the new situation through calculated observation, flexibility, and adaptation. It's about adaptability, smarts, not just brute force or blind courage.
So if she takes the job, she needs to walk in ready to really learn the terrain, suss out the dynamics, and crucially, be prepared to adapt her own communication style based on what she finds, rather than just falling back into old habits or patterns.
Precisely. That's the essence of following. And the sources get very specific here. They recommend shifting her communication, especially when conflict does arise, to a highly problem-oriented style.
Problem-oriented, meaning?
Meaning if someone is, say, pushing her boundaries or creating friction or dropping the ball, she needs to use empathy first, show she understands their perspective, then follow up with clear professional boundaries about the issue, not the person.
Okay, can you give us an example, like a before and after?
Sure. Let's say a colleague consistently misses deadlines that impact Anna's work. The old, maybe confrontational or blame-focused way might be, you are constantly late with your reports and is completely disrespectful of my time.
Which is, accusatory and personal.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't go over well.
I hope it's not. The following problem-oriented approach would be something like, hey, I understand you've got a lot on your plate right now, empathy, but when the data isn't provided until Friday afternoon specific behavior, it directly affects the team's ability to finalize the weekly report by the deadline impact on shared goal. Can we maybe aim for delivery by, say, 3 p.m. on Wednesdays to ensure we hit that target? Proposed solution?
Ah, I see. It takes the personal sting out of it. It makes it about the work, the shared goal, the deadline,
Yeah.
not a personal attack.
Exactly. It professionalizes the interaction. It connects that philosophical idea of adapting to the situation directly to tangible, measurable communication behavior. That's really practical. Okay, so adaptation is key. But transitions are messy. What are the biggest pitfalls? The sources warn that this isn't just one single jump, right? It's more like a cycle. 4 distinct phases, each with its own risks if you rush.
Yes, exactly. Thinking of it as a 4-stage cycle provides a kind of roadmap for managing the inherent risks. It helps you anticipate the bumps.
Okay, stage 1.
Stage 1 is about the initial warning, addressing that raw impulsivity. The quote, associated with just jumping in without getting all the details nailed down, is pretty stark, actually. Strong wind wastes the fields and all is lost.
Strong wind wastes the fields.
Ouch.
What's the strong wind in practical terms here? Is it just excitement?
It's that powerful emotional impulse. The urge to just accept the exciting offer immediately, or maybe worse, to rush and resign from your current job before the ink is even properly dry on the new contract, before all the terms are truly confirmed.
Right, getting swept away.
Yeah. If you rush out of your current stability, or if you lose negotiating leverage because you didn't fully understand or confirm every single term, the exact job content, the team dynamics you thought you understood, the length and conditions of any trial period.
You risk undermining yourself.
Completely. You risk destroying your current security, financial and professional, for a future that's actually way more uncertain than you realized. So the practical takeaway is crystal clear. Secure all terms. Verify all the key details. Do not resign until everything is confirmed in writing.
Okay, solid advice. Resist the urge to leap before you look. That covers the initial jump. Now moving into phase 2, once you've actually started the new role. The sources warn against carelessness, right? Blind rushing adds shackles to the predicament.
Exactly. This is about what happens after you walk in the door. It warns against entering the new company and, perhaps out of eagerness or insecurity, immediately getting drawn into the existing internal drama, the office politics, the power struggles.
Taking sides too early.
Precisely. If Anna, for example, rushes to align herself with one particular faction or clique before she really understands the landscape, she's essentially limiting her future freedom. She gets shackled to a position, maybe an unfavorable one, that she barely understands yet.
So the advice is?
Strategic self-preservation. Step back initially. Maintain a degree of professional neutrality. Observe. Listen more than you talk. And, crucially, meticulously document communications, especially important emails, meeting notes, agreements. That distance, that documentation, it's protection.
Okay, maintain objectivity. Avoid getting entangled too soon. Makes sense. Now, phase 3, the midterm challenge. You're more established, but friction is pretty much inevitable in any team, right? The sources say too many people talking, difficult to walk together.
Yeah, this marks a significant shift. At this stage, Anna's challenge isn't primarily her own internal fear anymore. Now she's dealing with the external reality of managing, or at least navigating, divergent opinions, maybe conflicting interests, and just the sheer communication overhead within a complex team.
It sounds like the focus really shifts here.
It does. The necessity becomes moving from personal adaptability, which was key earlier, towards skillful team coordination, or at least skillful navigation within the team.
So setting clear boundaries, maybe establishing clearer communication protocols or rules of engagement.
Exactly. And also realizing that in many team environments, true consensus on everything is often impossible, maybe not even desirable. You have to learn to prioritize the shared mission, the key objectives, over trying to get universal agreement on every little thing. It becomes about effective coordination, not just personal feelings.
That's a tough transition for many people, moving from me to we in a practical sense.
Absolutely. And the success of this following stage, this whole transition, is really defined by how well you handle that inevitable friction.
Okay, so if Anna navigates those first 3 challenging stages, avoids the initial impulsivity, sidesteps the early factions, and then masters that coordination piece, what's the payoff? The sources promise a final reward, don't they?
They do. The 4th stage is the successful outcome. The quote is, "Wealthy family gains esteem. Each performs their duty."
Wealthy family gains esteem.
Yeah.
Sounds like stability, respect, finding your place.
It is. It represents achieving stability and earning respect through that consistent effort and strategic wisdom. It's the natural consequence of navigating the transition effectively. This outcome isn't just luck. It's achieved because she, hypothetically, held firm to her professional principles while demonstrating the flexibility to adapt when needed.
So it leads to a stable position, the status she deserves within the new team, and presumably the rewards, financial and otherwise, that match her contributions.
That's the idea. Success born from patience, preparation, and skillful adaptation.
Okay, this has been incredibly insightful. We've covered the patience needed in awaiting, the active adaptation required in following, and the potential pitfalls across the 4 stages. So let's bring it all together. For the listener who's maybe facing a similar choice right now, feeling that mix of excitement and dread, what are the core actionable takeaways? Can we consolidate them?
Absolutely. Let's boil it down to 4 critical steps. First, delay impulse. Do not let excitement or anxiety rush you. Secure and clearly negotiate every single term of the new offer. Do not resign from your current role immediately. Use that notice period or even ask for more time to confirm everything.
Okay, delay impulse. Got it.
Second, intelligence gathering. Be proactive. Use your professional networks, maybe sites like Glassdoor with a grain of salt, and definitely use the interview process itself. Ask smart, probing questions about team culture, specific management styles, recent reorganizations, and crucially ask how the team typically handles conflict or disagreement. Collect data.
Intelligence gathering. Makes sense. Be a detective. Third,
set an observation period. Go into the new role, assuming you take it, with a clear mindset.
Yeah.
The first, say, 3 to 6 months are primarily for learning and observation. Keep records, mentally or physically. Decide that you'll only seriously evaluate leaving again if fundamental core values are consistently violated after this observation period. This helps neutralize that immediate fear that any conflict will instantly derail you.
All right, give it a fair shot with open eyes. An observation window. Okay, and finally, the 4th step, hitting right at Anna's core anxiety.
Yes. Fourth, emphasize professionalism. When friction or office politics arise, Consciously adopt a low-key professional fact-based strategy. Rely heavily on that empathy first, then clear boundary approach we talked about. Maintain professional distance where needed. Focus on shared goals and document important interactions.
Okay. Delay impulse, gather intel, observe actively, and maintain professionalism, especially around conflict.
That's the package. And it's really about that combination, harnessing the patience and thorough preparation of waiting and combining it with the flexibility, the situational awareness, and the high-functioning empathy of following. That synergy is what builds success based on strategic wisdom, and it significantly mitigates that risk of future regret.
That's a powerful synthesis. It really reframes the whole situation. The essential learning here, it seems, isn't just about grabbing a higher salary or a shorter commute. The true opportunity might actually be the chance to practice and demonstrate this strategic timing, this flexible wisdom.
I think that's exactly right. Anna's story, and maybe yours if you're listening, it reminds us that the job offer itself is often just the backdrop. The real stage, the real challenge is often internal, overcoming that old recurring self-doubt, that fear of the unknown or the fear of repeating past mistakes that keeps you tethered.
Yeah. It's about navigating yourself as much as the external situation. Okay, so here's a final thought for you, our listener, to maybe chew on this week. The job offer, the opportunity. It's simply the riverbank. The real question is, are you willing to wait when necessary, to prepare your sails meticulously, and then, crucially, to trust yourself to navigate the wind's direction when it does finally arrive, rather than just fighting the current or staying stuck on the shore? If you had to define your focus for the next week, maybe even just the next day, in a single word, would you choose waiting or following? And what active, concrete step does that choice require of you right now?
Something to reflect on. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into strategic decision-making.
We hope this was helpful. We'll be back next time to explore more surprising insights from the stories and sources you share with us.